So what you just seen there was basically me setting out my next 90-day goal setting block to lead me right up until Christmas Day, because we're big on getting these done for members, as I've talked a lot about before. And if you follow me on Snapchat, if you read some of my emails I send out weekly to an email list there, if you follow my Instagram, you'll know that I'm big on just having a daily focus for yourself, because that's all it is. And funnily enough, this video is not going to be about goals, don't worry, but one of the big part of this next 90-day block is really making the things like environment, atmosphere and equipment and experience in Doc Fitness a lot better. So when you come in here the door, it's fucking terrible looking, it's shabby. And we didn't really do anything this for a while, because we didn't really know where we were going to be in this building long term or not. But basically what we're doing here is, first of all, the whole stairs is getting a revamped makeover because it's disgusting looking. We're going to go for the kind of floor grey finish, but on each edge is going to be a colour of, I think it's green and grey. She's going for to tie in the theme. But along this wall we're going to have like a big Doc Fitness logo, followed by this wall is going to be brought up with simplistic stuff like the bricks breaking out of the wall like we have inside the room. And then up here at the very, very top, that is going to be taken out and it's going to be replaced by a big massive D logo, followed by, we're going to have another massive D logo. You can picture that, a big globe, and the heart rate symbol is going to come up around and go all the way around here into this one and back around here. So when you look at it then, like the whole, it'll just be energy the second you walk in the door, and that's the whole idea of it. So right now myself and Robbie's putting some benches, new benches we got inside together. The two of us are going mapping out some member stuff for the next 90 days, getting this up to Christmas, and then we're going to get some supplies to the gym and we're going training. Building this groin back up. I'm back on 105 kilos. The aim here is sets of 6. Robbie's progressing well past on the squat these days, the prick. But I'm seeing how my groin is holding up now for these initial sets. I'm feeling good after doing 4 warm sets. So we'll see how the rest goes from here. So that's my lower body style heavy day done, where we didn't bother showing you that now for deadlifts because we just did some single leg work. Then I did some leg work on the machine with some calf work as well to finish off with. Just looking at getting volume in after those, because we did some box jumps to start, followed by the squats, which I'm happy with because the groin is feeling a lot better. I feel a bit more power come back into me now as well. But when you look at that in terms of progression, an easiest way I'm doing this now is I'm progressing on quality of technique first, coming back and making sure that I have basically sexy fucking moving patterns there before I start loading up the weight. And it's a big problem when lads are starting out in the gym, or even lads that are a bit more experienced, that think that they can stay adding weight week after week after week after week. And when you're a beginner, you can get away with that as long as the technical proficiency is there. But the problem is people learn from scratch or by themselves or by listening to their friends, and the quality of movement is not simply there. Like, I'd even question some personal trainers' teaching and coaching methods as well. Like, so it's hard to listen to kind of people that, it's hard to know who to listen to with stuff like that. Like, but again, if you get onto a coach that knows their stuff, that trains themselves and has a good track record, like, you're fairly okay. Like, but again, is movement quality there? Are you getting full range of movement if you're aiming for a certain rep range a week, are you hitting all those reps before you start adding weight? That is simply what I'm going to do with my squats. Did 105 there, 4 sets of 6. Next week I'm either going to do 2 things: 5 sets of 6, depending on how I'm feeling with volume, or 4 sets trying to aim to go 107.5, very, very simple 2.5 kilo jump. I have another lower body session at the end of the week, but with 3 hurdle training sessions in between that as well, so you can see I'm going to be aiming to go for the slower progression here rather than get ahead of myself again. And then for things like the single leg work, like progressing on those, I had a rep range to hit. I picked away roughly where I thought it'd be fine. I started off with it, ended up being just right. I wasn't breaking down technique, it was tough, but I wasn't sloppy. I was able to contract the muscle and feel the muscles working. And again, I hit rep range there next week. Next week I'm just going to simply add 2 reps. Once I hit the top end of that rep range, then I'll add weight. That might be 3 or 4 weeks away though. So just don't forget that again. Like, people think that it's always add weight, add weight, add weight, add weight. It's not. Get a sexy movement pattern going first. Feel the muscles working, because I can't mention how many times I had to pull back on my training because I wasn't able to feel things like my chest working, shoulders, quads, glutes, stuff like that. Like, so again, if it's looking physically bigger, stronger, more powerful, it doesn't matter. Like, you need to be able to contract and create tension against the muscle. So now I'm going off to get some post-workout food before hurling train, and we have. So seeing as I want some actionable takeaways from these vlogs, mainly it's the whole reason I do them, let's talk a bit more about the progression side of things. Like, for me, for example, in the squat now for next week, this is to ensure you're actually making progress in the gym, to ensure you're getting stronger, to ensure you're building mass, muscle, strength, whatever it is, like, for your ultimate goal. But again, there needs to be progressive overload. The principle of progressive overload needs to be there in order for you to progress. It's as simple as that. So, like I said earlier, so if you go back to your technical sexiness, let's just say I did, or someone did 4x6 at 100 kg for week 1, right? And in a training log, if you have your own training log, or if you're going by kind of just how you feel on a day-to-day basis, I used to use like a 3 smiley face tracking system. So like, I put up a smiley face for that, it went well, it was fine, it was grand. I put down like straight line face, like that, if it was okay. I know I probably then, what I mean by that is next week I come back into the gym, I can probably not really focus on upping weight just as quick until I have the technical proficiency there. If it's a sad face, I might even pull back on weight the following week. So for example, for week 2 here, you did the 4x6 and 100 again, and they felt great. You were happy with your technique, you were happy with the control you had, etc, etc. So come week 3, yes, you might go for progression. So you might start off after a few warm-up sets. For example, your first 2 sets, one on 2.5 kg, one on 2.5 kg, you jumped up 2.5 kilos. Now where you go from there, it depends. You might be feeling great, you might just go 1 on 2.5 and the subsequent 2 sets after that, you may need to pull back. Or if you're feeling great, you might jump it up to 105, for example. So let's say in this case you're feeling great, and for the last 2 sets you might go up to 105, 105. Now, going on from there, you can follow that kind of progressional scheme until next week you could go 105, 4x6. The following week you can see how you are again. You can maybe stay the same weight and progress again. That becomes a problem when you're more advanced down the line and you're more of an intermediate phase lifter, which is probably, you're looking at 2 years of solid proper progressive lifting with the guidance of a coach, preferably, if you're kind of classified as an intermediate lifter in my eyes, roughly, okay? So every 4 to 6 weeks you probably need a period where you need to back off a bit in the gym. And what you can simply do for that back off period is you can hit the lowest number of reps and the lowest number of sets you've done for that training block. So usually, like main lifts, if you're doing anywhere from 3 to 5 to 6 sets, you can keep it at 3 sets. Let's just say in this case you're doing 6 reps, you can keep it at 4 to 5 reps and maybe go back to a weight where you've 3 to 4 reps left in your tank for that deload week. So you're still getting in the gym, but the volume is brought right down so you can super compensate, recover, and go hard again from next week. And then for that example, in this case, let's just say week 4 was a back off week. When you come to week 5, for example, you might start anywhere from 3 to 5 or even 10% in some cases heavier than you did in your previous block. So here you might start at 1 or 2.5 kilos and progress from there. So again, when you look at that over a macro level, then a bigger block, you're progressing. Might pull back for a week, progress, pull back, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back type of thing.
So just make sure you have that somewhere in your training. There is some form of progression, whether it's time, whether it's reps, whether it's weight. Just make sure you're progressing, because people miss that fundamental element of training and they get fucking nowhere, and before you know it, the 6, 7, 8 months gone. But again, it'll come back to consistency and adherence. Are you making it to the gym weekly? Are you consistent with your training? Because that isn't, a lot of it too is just getting in the fucking gym in the first place. But hopefully there's some takeaways in that. I'm off to hurling training now. There's nothing more exciting for this vlog even over these coming days. It's head down, we're building Doc Fitness. It's as simple as that. In terms of Doc Fitness number 2, I've taken the reins back a little because I felt I was moving too fast, too forward. We went looking at units and wasn't happy with any of them, and then the ones that were suitable, they were way out of our budget for what they were. So I'm going to see what happens over time, and if something comes up, it comes up. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But right now we're focusing on making things a lot better where we are in our current facility, because as I said, I felt like I was jumping the gun a little bit. So we have a lot of things we're bringing in for members, for different coaching methods, for the nutritional side of things, for the mindset side of things, and making sure the people that are really struggling, like, why are they struggling? Why isn't person A getting the exact same results as person B, for example, compared to their lifestyles, their beliefs around food and training and mindset stuff, and then their general environment at home and stuff like that. So we're trying to tweak things for according to different members and making sure that everyone is getting the benefit, like, because it's all well and good putting out a transformation photo of somebody who loses an incredible amount of weight, they build muscle, they look fucking fantastic, and their whole life has changed. They're just a completely different person. But what about the people that are not making those results? Which is not really often talked about in the health and fitness world, like. But no more than ourselves, we have clients that struggle with things. They have clients that struggle with trying to set a goal for themselves. They just can't tackle it, or they can't do it, or they're not in that frame of mind to even start looking at goal setting. And then the nutritional stuff is just way too hard, or they're trying to take on way too much too soon. So again, it's all levels, it's all where you're at. It's small baby steps going forward, and we're really focusing on that for our members here. We're focusing on making the environment in the gym a lot better, the facility itself a lot better with equipment, and small little things as well, like just making the gym better overall. Once we've that done coming into the new year, I will reassess where we're at with Doc Fitness number 2. But right now we have our hub here in Kilcoggan and Go, which we love. We're looking at bringing more seminars on board as well, along with my online program for my lads as well, because we're looking to do meetups and stuff like that. So we'll see how that goes. That's where I am right now, just a quick update on that. But look at, if you can kind of stick to what this vlog is all about, the technical sexiness of training, you will start to progress a lot more. You will start to get a lot more out of your training, provided you're doing that right. Like, you're at least squatting, pushing movements, pulling movements, deadlifting, hinge movements. And then from there, you're looking at stronger, fitter performance, better in the hurling field, for example, if you're play sport, or looking better naked. It's inevitable. It's as simple as that. Until next time, anything you'd like to see in these vlogs or videos in general, which I pop out weekly, let me know in the comments below. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, and if you're not on Snapchat, add me over there, because that's where I kind of spend most of my time answering questions anymore. But I'm going to try and put them into more video format. Chat to you soon. Bye bye.